Alright folks, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be revisiting the University of Mobile. I have not filmed a video here in about 2 years, and so a lot's changed since then. There's now cement tee pads in place, a couple of holes have been tweaked, and I wanted to come out here because they're actually trying to raise funds to improve the course a bit more by getting some long tee pads installed, as well as potentially a whole second course. So they're actually running the Ram Jam Classic, a tournament here in a few months in September. And so I kind of want to come out here, take a look at the course because it's been so long since I played it. I got Dave with me. You'll see him throwing. He was in the Citronelle practice video a while back. And so let's get it. All right, so hole one, it's like 380. I remember we used to like tee off on that corner over there, right? So they definitely backed this up.
Oh, right there.
Yeah, it's a little. So they backed it up a little bit. I wonder if they're gonna eventually make an even longer tee for this hole, like around the corner or something. I heard potentially. Yeah. So that's one of the things that that tournament I was talking about is going to do, is help raise funds for some longer tees. I think it's like the first project, and then the second project is eventually to maybe even build a whole nother course here. It's not the best I can do on 380. Got the new moonshine, the new hotness. New moonshine, these just came out. I don't even know if they're like released actually yet. I think the online release is like the day after I recorded this. It's definitely a little bit more stable than like the normal plastic, but not a crazy amount. It's still not like the freaking beefcake mutant sword I have. There you go. It's kind of weird. It's like you're throwing downhill, but then it goes back uphill. And I think the basket overall is uphill in comparison to the tee pad. So I don't know how you like figure that. But yeah, this is like a mutant sword. So overstated for a sword. It is so quiet out here. It's like eerie. All right, so my first two shots basically landed where that disc is, but still like deepest circle two. That's because I don't throw 380 feet. I throw like 330. And the distance is probably pretty accurate for this hole considering you go downhill and then uphill. I think overall it still plays slightly uphill, but that's, I guess, debatable. All right, after a bit of a trek, hole two, 285, basket, kind of dead straight ahead, slide to the right. I think it kind of plays for a backhand turnover, but I guess you could like maybe fit a forehand through there. I like the slight turning backhand though. All right, so yeah, I threw it like 45 feet past the basket. So instead of 285, I threw it like 330 something. And I'm left with a comebacker putt for birdie. Putt deep too. All right, so now we're at hole three. The sign says 350, but it's probably a little shorter than that, but it does play uphill initially, like the first stretch of like 200 feet. So maybe 350 is kind of the distance it kind of plays as. It's a blind shot off the tee. You can see like a little shrub thing kind of in the center of the screen. The basket's basically behind that, so that's like in line with the basket to give you kind of an aiming point on where the basket is. But I think it almost calls for a similar shot to the last hole, so I'm gonna try to do that again. That's better. That might be in the circle. That will hyzer out into being decent. Right distance, it's a little right. All right, this is a good throw. It was actually shorter than I thought. I guess, I mean, I threw it about a little over 300 feet, so I guess it really is kind of playing closer to that 350 distance, maybe a little less. I don't know. So that Dynasty flex shot I threw actually landed where I'm at now. Had the distance, just didn't hyzer out enough, if you were curious. Still left myself a circle 2 putt there. All right, so now we're at hole 4. Dead straight ahead behind this tree with the little ivy on the left of it. It's like literally right behind that tree. But it is, I'm getting like 340. 340, and it plays maybe somewhere between 330 and 340, but it plays downhill. This hole has changed the most since the last time I've been here. We used to tee off like further to the right, and it was like more of a open backhand hyzer for the right ear, like a forehand. And now feels kind of like a forehand, but good shot. Not a bad shot from Dave, just faded off a little bit on him, but got up there, got way up there. Holy cow. Well, once again, I left myself outside of the circle. So, gonna be a par probably. Actually, this is a borderline. I'm gonna say like 35, 40. Yeah, we got that one. Sick. All right, so now hole 5, 200 feet, dead straight in front of you. Probably the easiest hole in the course, but that also maybe adds like an extra small touch of pressure because you know you're supposed to get it. That's so deep, right? Yeah. That tree kind of helped me from going in the woods. I juiced it. Oh, baby. That's parked. All right, so now we're at hole 6. Pay no attention to that distance. It's definitely not 260. I don't even know how far it is, really. Maybe like 5 something, maybe. But it's a big dog leg left, and it's through these tight woods. So it's a very technical shot. It might be one of the more technical tee shots on the whole course. What is it? Yeah. It's just a really technical shot, though. I mean, it's basically this really small gap on the right-hand side that gets smaller and smaller as you go more and more up the fairway. You kind of have to stay in that lane and try not to hyzer out into the woods left too much. It's not that hard to par as long as you don't like kick way left into the woods, but it's pretty hard to birdie. Kind of turn it up the center instead. That works. Are you taking that wide lane? Yeah, there's a wide lane you can't really see on the camera. This right tree, the tee pad kind of blocks it. Here we go. Now you can kind of see the route that he was going for. I'm going to try the same thing, actually. Test this. That route's way easier. Like, way easier. So here's all of our shots. The furthest one is the second one I threw, the wider hyzer line, and then the green one's Dave's, and then one in the middle is the first one I threw. All of these give you a backhand hyzer to the basket, though. Distance probably like, for Dave on this one, what, like 250-ish? Oh, I caught a tree. That stinks. It was a good line, too. For real? Yeah. Oh, that's right. There's a ditch on this hole. I forgot about that. Unlucky. So now you can finally see the basket from this angle. So my second shot was definitely way better, and it gives me like a much easier. I'd circle one putt. Still almost deep though. All right, hole 7, 250. Basket's past the second pine tree to the right of 250 feet. So it's not really blind. I can kind of see the basket between the trees, but. That was a good shot, or it looked like one.
Yeah, I see that.
Just caught the last little bush on the way to the basket.
That'll work.
Hit that bush right to the right of my disc. Stopped me from skipping to the basket. All right, hole 8, dead straight ahead, 300 feet. Kind of have a wide right lane, couple of center lanes, and also there's like a really wide left lane if you wanted to play like some kind of skippy forehand or something like that. I don't know. I'm thinking that, but with the Saint. See if I can weave it through there. Well, I think I weaved it through there. It was like a combo. Like I had your caddy advice on the line, and then I just used a different disc. It's a good line. Short, but good line. Kind of want to try this fun looking flex forehand. Oh, fine. We're pretty much parked. The flex forehand was like a touch deep, but not really. All right, so now we're at hole 9, 265, basket dead straight ahead. 265, gonna play a little bit longer than that because of the uphill. Probably like a mid, lower speed fairway driver, just whatever you prefer. It feels like that flex forehand's easier. Like to go through the left side, then come back right. The right side feels tighter, like those 2 pines past this initial gap, like you either have to get around them or through them. So, I don't know. Hard to say what's better. There's also like, what do you think about this really wide right gap? And skip it left, no? Oh! I mean, I barely got past that tree. Well, that's a good shot if it comes out. Oh yeah, that's gonna work. That's on the dance floor. All right, so now hole 10, right at 300 feet, dead straight ahead, but a very tight tunnel. It's kind of a risk versus reward hole in my opinion. It's like, you can risk trying to go straight at the basket, up the gut, through the tunnel, have the shortest path to travel to the basket, give yourself a best chance at birdie if you don't have a huge arm. Or you can play the wide spike hyzer play, pretty much guarantee par, but unless you have a big arm, you're taking birdie out of the equation. So usually for me, I just play the wide high hyzer, make sure I get my 3. I think that's just more consistent than trying to pump one through the tunnel.
I think I'm gonna pump one down the middle.
Do it. There you go. A little short, that's a good line. That's circle one. So yeah, here's where the spike hyzer landed, right in front of me. It's like probably 70, 80 feet to the basket. So a long jump putt or just a chip approach, take your par. And then the second one I threw that I got a height on actually made it to circle one. It's like maybe 25 feet away from the basket, so not bad. All right, hole 11, right at 345, 350. See it peeking right over the top of the hillside right there. So I definitely don't throw that far, but just gonna kind of throw like a slight backhand turnover type deal. Like if I get my best throw, maybe. With height, maybe. With height, that might have done it. Had the right angle on the disc, had the right amount of turn on it too. Great flight. Still not quite enough. All right, so both of these kind of caught the hillside and didn't quite get all the way down there. All right, so now we're at hole 12. This hole definitely has changed since I filmed here 2 years ago. It used to be in front this little brick thing. I think it's like a trash compactor or something like that. Downhill, dog leg left, blind shot. It's like 315. That pine tree that's kind of center of the screen at the bottom of the hill is 275. So you kind of want to get down there towards that and then have it start breaking left. Try to skip towards the basket. Main thing is you do not want to be early left. See if I can throw it kind of a straight shot towards these 3 pines. Hey! Ooh, that might be good. That's what I was looking to do. Just throw it straight and have it fade. Just kind of aiming for those 3 pine trees to the right. Oh, that's a good shot from Dave. Hyzer. Skip. No skip. Wow, that stinks. That was a good line, just didn't skip at all. All right, so I didn't get as left as I wanted. Left myself a little bit of a longer putt, but it was still a pretty good shot from where I was. My miss was definitely the miss to make. Throw it more straight than left, because if you go left early inside, then that's when you wind up in the woods and have a tough up and down to even get your par at that point. All right, hole 13, 260, kind of straight ahead. You see those 3 pines in the background, the dark ones. Not the light colored ones on the left, but deeper to the right. Basket is just to the right of those. So kind of plays for like a flex forehand up the left-hand side, or it could kind of just play for like a backhand up the right-hand side. Didn't turn at all. So I'm way deep in the woods. Way out here. Oh yeah, dude. It's gonna have to be a scuba. That's all I got, quite literally. All right, so hole 14, right at 300 feet, dead straight ahead. Kind of reminds me a little bit of hole 2, or maybe even like hole 10, but less of a tunnel right off the tee. Similar shot, maybe like a slight turnover backhand. Does play a little bit uphill. Also, this tee pad's like kind of on this weird slant on the hillside. There's kind of a big step up to it. That's like the one thing I dislike about tee pads when they have these big step ups. I just like when they're like more flush to the ground, but probably from erosion and whatnot. Try to throw the same kind of shot I threw on those other holes. Too much turn. Close to pin high, but just wide right. Went with me. All right, so I came up a bit short. Turned a little too much. Not quite enough forward. My putting is it's been struggling ever since the tournament. Ever since the 5 to 6 wide right yoinks. Been trying to work on limiting my lower body movement, but I'm kind of struggling with the muscle memory on that. But I think ultimately if I can get less lower body movement, that's less variables, less moving parts, less to worry about, less to go wrong. So it's gonna be a slow process, breaking muscle memory from what I'm used to doing. So now we're at hole 15. This hole has changed quite a lot. It used to be like a 230, 240 backhand hyzer. Now it's 325 to the left of the dumpster, but a good bit, you know, further back than that. And it plays pretty uphill. So I'd say this plays closer to 350, honestly. What do you think? Sounds about right?
Yeah.
So honestly, with it being out of my range, I'm just gonna play like a safe hyzer wide right, try to spike back in. There's like kind of a road / parking lot to the right of that green dumpster. That would be OB that you want to stay away from. So I'm just gonna fly one and just have it crash back in towards that dumpster. That parking lot probably?
I think so.
All right, so I need something more stable than that. It's my first time playing this hole, so I don't really quite know what I'm doing. It's a good placement from Dave, I think, right? So here's where that parking lot kind of comes into the right side of the dumpster that you see from the tee. So definitely, if you throw anything too wide right and it doesn't come back, you're gonna be OB. But I think I'm actually inbounds past the dumpster because I think I got some glorious skips or something off the parking lot. So let's go see. As you can see, I am just barely safe. Literally by like a foot or two. Definitely wasn't the hole I planned on birdieing anyway, just with the distance. So the fact I even had like kind of a deep circle 2 look was kind of nice. So now we're at hole 16. Since it's 400 feet, I don't buy it. I think it's closer to 500. It's uphill, blind shot to the left, road right OB. Really the only thing you gotta do is just grip it and rip it, but stay out of the OB road right. I wanted to show you this property because I talked about this in the intro about them raising funds. I'm pretty sure if you look over this direction behind 16's tee pad, I think this property back here is where they want to eventually install a second course. Maybe even some of the woods like this direction to the left of 16's tee pad might get used to. I'm not really sure. But that's what they're trying to raise money for, is for tee pad improvements. I think permanent tee pads for the long tees, and maybe even to eventually work on a second course here. Pretty cool. I mean, it's a beautiful property. Anyway, let's start 16. All right, so according to UDIS, this hole is actually 540-ish, 536. So, a little update. There we go. Nestled in on the right-hand side. Shot. All right, so I'm over here on the right hand side of the fairway, basket straight ahead to the left slightly. I have about 270 still. That's probably short. Need to push forward more. Try this guy. I thought this hole definitely is longer than it was last time I played here a couple years ago. I don't know if the tee moved or the basket moved or what, but I thought it was like 450-ish or like something before. That's good. Or not. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, remember the tee box used to be right there.
Yeah, so definitely moved the tee box back and made this hole longer. Because I remember not being able to reach the basket off the tee ever. But I used to feel like I only had 200 or so or less into the basket on my second shot. This is definitely longer. Yeah, the first disc I threw was just too overstable, didn't push forward enough. When I made the adjustment through that second disc, it parked it. So the more you learn as you practice. So I want to go ahead and just show you the basket for this hole because you can't really see it from the tee because the branches that hang over the center of the fairway kind of block it, but it's right up there. That's kind of what you're aiming for. All right, so because of the low ceiling down the center fairway, I think the best play is forehand over the parking lot. If you're a righty, lefty backhand. But otherwise, you have to contend with that low ceiling. Or just never use the parking lot, throw it all air. It's a little short. It's like, wasn't too bad though. Good aim. Try to really get one there. That's good. Skip. Should be all right. That should be like more pin high or closer to it. I think that's about as good as it gets for a backhand with that ceiling. You kind of put it in that like top right gap that exists, but it's so hard.
You can get it now. If I'd have thrown it lower.
See, I think going through that window I just went through is the right play, but it just doesn't push forward enough, I don't think. So I have horrible depth perception. The first forehand's actually parked. The second forehand's actually deep. And the backhand actually did totally make it to circle one. So fair enough. All right, so now we're at hole 18. The basket's basically behind this big bush in the center of the screen. You can either go over the sewer cap through this hole, highs or right, like a forehand if you're a righty, or lefty backhand, or you can play straight off the front of the tee pad, hyzer, try to go down the hill, get to the basket. It's kind of tricky. It's not far, but it's just tough to get to the basket. I don't know how to explain it. Might be good. You see Dave over there, that's where he landed. I actually threw it way deeper. I thought the basket was further back behind the bush. It's like literally up against the bush. So definitely would throw something slower now that I remember that. All right, folks, thank you so much for tuning in to the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Definitely really enjoyed this course. Definitely could see a couple of tee pads maybe get tweaked a little bit to make it a touch better, but again, that's why they're trying to raise funds. I look forward to seeing the improvements that they make. Look forward to maybe seeing a second course here one day to play. And overall, just a beautiful piece of property and definitely one of my favorite places to play. So again, if you're not already, please do go ahead and hit the subscribe button, leave a like, comment down below. All that stuff helps out so much. Catch you next time.